Wednesday, March 12th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, kick ass.
Let's do this.
Oh man, it's finally here. Despite my love of it, I actually haven't seen past the first episode of Avatar until now.
Yeah, I saw like a few minutes of it when I was walking around the house. It looks like a Saturday morning kids show.
Avatar is a really freaking good show, especially pretty much from the last 2 episodes of the first season, from what I hear, all the way up to the end and ongoing is just absolutely amazing.
Well, I don't know. I can't really say other than I saw 2 minutes of it, which isn't really enough.
Scott walked through the room and went,
That's not enough to pass any judgment on whether the show is actually good or not. However, I can say I'm not too excited or enthused to watch the show.
You're never excited or enthused about anything.
There are other things I have, to consume my entertainment time that I will choose before I choose that.
Well, I'll say this. Of all the things competing for my eyeballs, Avatar pretty much is at the top now, and I'm probably going to watch it to the exclusion of everything else until I've seen all of it.
Yeah, that's the exact opposite right here. I'm going to be playing Smash Brothers.
I played some Smash Brothers.
And some DS games, and I'm going to be reading some comics.
Man, I'm rocking through Layton.
Yeah, Layton's a good one.
I'm 2 picker-ads short of a perfect score so far.
Well, we'll see.
I don't know. I haven't had any trouble so far.
Yeah. How far are you?
I'm pushing 1,000.
Yeah. See, part of the thing is, it's not so much. If you really pay attention to every puzzle and try really hard to get a perfect score, you will. But there comes a point where, like, your patience will run out. And you just be like, and also some of the puzzles, they're worded poorly, and us rules lawyery types would be like, oh, fuck you.
See, I don't know. I haven't run into anything like that yet.
There are only like a small handful of them, but they're there, and they're annoying.
Plus, the thing is, maybe it's just because as a kid I was in Math Olympiad, but so far, the vast majority of the questions
you've seen before
are actually exactly from questions I answered to get my little trophy in 4th grade.
I would say about 10% of the puzzles in there I had seen before at some point in my life.
Of all the math and geometry ones, I think I've seen all of them.
I don't know. Well, I guess.
Yeah, like have a pyramid of coins, flip it upside down by moving n of them, or you've got a bunch of pictures of different sizes that aren't marked. How do you get certain amounts into certain pictures? All those things.
All right. Anything else going on?
Not really. I'm just kind of waiting for you to do your news. Slow talker, quiet, tired dude.
I'm actually sort of like, the reason I was being slow right there is because I was reading things while talking and, hoping you would just keep yapping so I could finish reading.
I got nothing to say. I'm waiting for you to do your crapo news so I can do my big news.
Oh, you think my news is crapo, do you?
Let's see what it is.
Maybe I just won't tell it to you.
All right.
No, actually, I have to tell it to you or else the show's going to be real boring real fast. So, Bone. You like Bone, right?
I liked the first 3/4 of Bone, and I'll be honest, I thought the end was pretty shit, all things considered.
I don't think it was shit.
The end was good, but like the whole last third of it was just really kind of cliche and tired, and it was obvious that he wasn't quite sure where he was going with it.
It seemed to me like definitely the parts that were planned were the earlier parts. But anyway, regardless, Bone, a while way back, they tried to make an animated movie of it.
I think we mentioned how well that went.
Yeah, basically they tried, and Jeff Smith fought with Nickelodeon, and it didn't happen. Basically, more details, whatever. Right? They tried to make a Bone movie, no good. Well, Warner Brothers has acquired the film rights. That doesn't mean they're gonna make one. It doesn't mean they're not gonna make one. It means they have the right to make one, and we'll see what comes of that. There could be, within a year or two, some sort of Bone movie in the movie theaters. It could be...
Most likely, if they just got the rights to it, within a year or two, they'll announce a Bone movie, at best.
Yeah, there might be a live-action Bone. It could be anything. Like, they haven't said anything yet.
Live-action Bone would not... I don't know about that.
Yeah, I know, right? It's kind of like, huh. But... seeing as how, the last time they tried to make a Bone movie, Jeff Smith, with not being happy with it, was able to sort of put a gum in the works. I'm sure that if he wasn't happy with it, he would have the ability to put the gum in the works again.
Well, the problem is, one thing Nickelodeon did not offer him that other people might is the bag of stop caring money. There is always, for anyone except possibly the creator of Watchmen, there is a bag of shut up money.
Well, the thing is that, he already has a whole bunch of money. I mean, the color editions of Bone that they sell in, like, the Scholastic book catalog, those sell like the crazy, like millions and millions of copies. So
there is still an amount of money.
He doesn't really need more money.
Only Alan Moore is untouchable.
Yeah, all right.
And luckily they tricked him.
But yeah, I usually hate like all the sort of preview news, not really news yet.
Yeah, what the hell? How much shit did you give me when I talked about how Peter Jackson is really interested in doing a Temeraire movie?
Yeah.
And how I'm waiting every day for there to be more news on that.
Well,
in fact,
there's a difference between...
I'm going to look that up right now while you're talking.
There's a difference between someone's interested in something, which means like someone said something, versus someone actually did something, which is acquiring rights. And also, the only reason this is really newsworthy is because of the previous failed Bone movie attempt. If there was not a previous attempt, this would not be really newsworthy.
Well, Peter Jackson optioned the rights to the Temeraire movie.
Uh-huh.
And that was my original news, actually.
Alrighty.
And there is no news since then.
See?
At least according to Wikipedia.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Well, they might be waiting for more books to be written. I don't know. I really want a movie. That is...
So all this news really translates to is you have like 2 years to read Bone so you can read it before the movie comes out.
I'd recommend you do that. And if you don't know what Bone is, listen to our review. Bone is a fantastic comic.
And yet 2 minutes ago you were trashing it.
No, I was trashing the last third or so of it, which is really, it's better than most comics, and it's even better than most manga. But it's really kind of cliche and tired at the end.
You ever notice that? Same thing happens with Death Note, where, you'll have a body of work that is, perhaps serialized, perhaps not.
Well, I think Death Note epitomized that to the point that I never bothered reading after.
Yeah.
It's like a climax.
You have some sort of collected, unified work of art, that spans many pages or many chapters, right? And some of the chapters are so great, like amazingly great. And then some of the chapters... they might not be amazingly great, but they'll still be okay. But because they're together, you're comparing that part to the previous part, and you treat it like shit, even though if it was only the okay part on its own, you would treat it okay. It's just because you have the added disappointment of, the high expectations set by the earlier parts of the work,
but it depends.
Have more negative feelings about the other part.
After the cool thing happened in Death Note, what came after was not something I would have read.
And I might not have read it, but I wouldn't have said it's terrible. I said it's okay.
Yeah,
it's just kind of normal.
I didn't say that the last third of Bone was terrible either. I said it was tired and cliched, which it very much was.
Yeah, but it's like people. If you look at the general opinion people have of the parts of things, it I don't know. I see it happening.
Yeah, though I have to agree. Death Note would have been better off if it had ended shortly after the climax.
I mean, here also, I guess Star Wars might be like the ultimate example. But of course, Episode 1 did really suck.
See, that's the thing. Scott Johnson always made this argument with us for the longest time. We bring him up a lot, I've noticed. But we'd always trash, especially after the first 2 Star Wars movies had come out, the new ones. Those movies were crap. They're nothing. They're awful. And I never even bothered watching either one of them again. But he always said, no, they're not actually worse. You're just, your expectations and your childhood nostalgia, you gotta be a kid to see those movies. But kids who saw those movies also didn't like them.
Well, Episode 1 was just terrible all around.
Episode 1 was an awful movie.
Yeah. Episode 2 was an okay-ish movie that had some bad parts.
Episode 2 was a movie I would watch like if I was sick in bed and it was the only
that's
DVD
that's the kind of movie you'd watch for free on TV when you're bored and you can't get up.
And then I'd work on my laptop and not care that there were commercials.
Right. Episode 3 was actually a slightly above average, sort of entertaining, shallow romp kind of movie.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, I couldn't watch Episode 3. I could maybe watch it one more time in my life.
Yeah, I couldn't watch it repeatedly forever like I can watch
The Empire Strikes Back right now.
I can watch The Empire Strikes Back right now and put it on repeat until I die.
I don't know. I might have to break it up with A New Hope and possibly the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I could watch any of those movies in any combination on repeat until I die, and I would pretty much not have a reason to get up. But anyway, yeah. But I do think that episode 3 gets less praise than it possibly, it deserves a tiny bit of praise.
And you know what?
I don't think it gets that tiny bit because
I think it does,
it's compared
actually.
to 4, 5, and 6.
I think it got all the praise it deserved.
Yeah.
Plus, we can't never forget, the feeling you had, because I know you all had this feeling. Remember, way back when the news came out, they're making more Star Wars. And everyone in the world lost their shit, including all of us, everyone. This was going to be the biggest thing ever. Remember how you felt sitting in that theater when Star Wars appeared on screen, episode 1, and that music started playing, and that text started scrolling? And remember how you felt when you walked out of that theater?
Yeah.
Remember that feeling? Where no one wanted to admit out loud how absolutely shitty that movie was to anyone else? Everyone was kind of waiting for someone to say it? Anyway, that was some bad times. Bone is not like that. The Bone is good. Don't get us wrong.
Yeah, but okay. Let's
Anyway,
continue.
all right, so I got some real news here. I don't know how many of you are aware. I'm sure every punk kid out there listening is aware. This is one of those things that just it's not in my demographic. It's not something that gets on my radar. So it's one of those things I know about, but I don't care about. So to explain to those of you who might not be hip to the internet, there's a website called Crunchyroll.
Crunchy Frog?
Crunchyroll.
Okay.
And Crunchyroll, basically, you can go there and watch fan subs. Straight up, streaming in real time. Just click on them and watch them. And also anything licensed that no one happens to have complained about yet.
No.
And this is one of those semi-shady, dubious kind of deals, but they got a lot of anime in there, and even good stuff. You want to see some Galaxy Express? You want to see anything? It's all in there. Except for stuff that has been specifically demanded to be taken down because of copyright law due to people having licenses to distribute in the U.S. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Everyone kind of assumed, yeah, something like that will eventually get shut down. That happens. There's no way that's legal. Well, you see, Crunchyroll just got $4 million in capital from a legitimate and well-known, well-funded, very, I can't say legitimate enough. It's a real venture capital firm, Venrock.
Why can't we get venture capital? I mean, it seems like everyone and their mother, even like really unprofessional, not big people, is getting venture capital. Why can't we get any?
All right.
It should be so easy. Let's just quit our jobs, get some, and then write software and make podcasts.
I'll tell you this out there. If any of you know a venture capitalist, there's a good investment right here.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
If you can pay for me and Rim to not have to go to the city every day, all we will do is sit in our house and make things that are worth money.
God,
in forms of entertainment and software.
We could probably do 4 or 5 hours as long as we had a staff of like podcasting, radio, television, whatever every day.
So anyone who knows like about business, which is the one thing we have no clue is what to do, we need a business person to business us. The same way that Robert Koo businessed Penny Arcade.
There's the minor problem of I have 2 competing desires in my life, and these are 2 desires that have been fighting within me, much like the forces fighting within Dr. Jekyll, for all of my life. On one hand, I am ambitious, and I will really not stop short until everyone in the world knows my name.
On the other hand, you're lazy.
Now, on the other hand, I very much understand and respect the decision of anyone who is able to make such a decision to live the life of the idle rich. Idle rich is the way to go.
Idle rich is high quality.
I think in the end, if I was idle rich, though, I'd probably just podcast a lot.
Maybe.
But I'd be podcasting from my yacht.
I'd write a lot of softwares.
Anyway, so yeah, $4 million in legitimate, not fake, not laundered capital. Now, this tells me something. That either, there are only really 3 possibilities here. 1, $4 million worth of money just got totally hoodwinked.
That's quite possible.
2, the thing that I have been telling people who run anime clubs for the longest time, the belief that I've had for pretty much as long as I've known about anime, that pretty much unless someone in the United States has the absolute legal right to distribute an anime, there's almost nothing that can be done against you legally, because the people in Japan, the way international law and copyright law works, it's really not worth it for them to sue you, even if they can, which might be true. Or 3, there's some other legal loophole where these venture capitalists realized that they can totally get away with it.
Well, it really seems like this is just... I don't know why. Are they investing in this site because it's a popular video site, and
Yes.
they think that that's like a the hip new thing, to go along with YouTube. It's like
Well,
it's
part
like
of
a
all this
trend.
is they unveiled their first legal anime stream.
Oh, so that's the plan they're going with.
But the thing is,
They want to be the legal YouTube of anime, sort of like that Hulu site that came out today.
it's a short flash animated series entitled Eagle Talon, the movie, The Chancellor Only Lives Twice.
In other words, I thought that was something like from Adult Swim or whatever.
Well, it eventually became that. Apparently, the short flash animation is the series that turned into that or something. I don't even know.
I don't know.
That I'm just reading from Anime News Network.
Oh, okay. But what it seems like, because it seems like to me what the plan here is, right, is you start out by being a site with illegal shit, right? You get a bunch of visitors coming for the piracy stuff. You put out some original stuff next to it. You get an audience for that. Then when people actually start to get on your case, you can get rid of the piracy stuff, and you still got this audience for original shit, and now you got money.
See, while that's possible, at the
Real
same
bait
time,
and switch, only your bait is illegal bait.
it's not just
Sort of like if you go to you're playing Zelda and you use that meat.
It's not just venture capital. Venrock general partner David Siminoff actually now sits on Crunchyroll's board of directors.
They have a board of directors for
Yes.
this sort of hackish, unprofessional-looking, crummy website that I could put together in like a few days.
You realize that if you get venture capital, you pretty much have to put together a board of directors.
But I mean, like, I could make a website that does everything Crunchyroll does. It would take a few days, and the only thing I would need is money for all the servers to host it on.
And the only thing
and a
Crunchyroll
copy of Flash.
has to offer is that they already exist and they already have the market. No one's going to go to your site because they already know about Crunchyroll.
I know, but the point is like, they didn't do much, and they didn't do anything I couldn't do, and they got $4 million. So why can't I get $4 million?
Anyway, this news wasn't Scott bitch about how he doesn't have any money. This news was to
I have money. I just don't have
whatever.
enough money to work for myself.
I don't care about you and your stupid, I want venture capital,
Yeah.
Anyway.
I want it.
So the thing that this site has to offer is 4 million unique visitors and 50 million streams a month.
Yeah, well, because of piracy.
Now, the thing is, they straight up just show fan subs. They say they're showing fan subs. They just totally show whatever they can get. And if anyone complains, they just say, oh, sorry, and take it down.
Yeah, that's...
And even better, I didn't even know this because I don't use this site, but according to Anime News Network, the way they make money is that you can get higher quality videos and badges for your screen names if you, quote unquote, donate money to them.
Why would you pay money to have an icon appear next to your screen name?
A lot of people will. Remember all the people who paid money to the natural selection developers to get that little shield?
I never understood that.
Anyway, beyond that, they're actually now, to make full-on money with this venture capital, going to start putting video ads into the full-length episodes they offer.
Oh, well, people are going to go right back to the BitTorrents.
And they say they intend to work directly with, quote, a select number of Japanese firms, unquote, to acquire content legally. But the fact remains that they're just showing fan subs. And here's what I really want to talk about. Funimation had some strong words
Also
for
Bandai.
them. But Funimation's words are the best here. Quote, Funimation has been carefully monitoring the activities of Crunchyroll.com for some time. Now, I point out, if they've been monitoring, and obviously everyone in the industry, probably in America and in Japan, is fully aware of what Crunchyroll is doing. Yet Crunchyroll has not been sued at all. I just want to note that.
Yeah.
Since 2006, Funimation has provided several letters notifying the site's operators of copyright infringement issues in connection with content that has been made available through the site. To date, Crunchyroll.com has complied with Funimation's demands to remove applicable content. Now, again, all this says to me is that people in the US only are able to go after these people if they have the license. And no one is going after these people if no one in the US has the license.
Yeah, I mean, if they're got a fan sub up there of some anime that, is maybe old or is maybe super brand new and no US company has the rights to it, then they just let it go. The Japanese companies don't do anything about it.
Now, it is a question of whether they don't because they don't want to, because it's not worth the effort.
Because they can't?
Because they can't might be an option. That might actually be what's going on.
Yep.
But this is going to get real interesting. Now, the rest of what Funimation said was basically, please don't pirate, please don't pirate, please don't pirate.
Here is something interesting I'm thinking of, right? If the Japanese anime companies, right, because fan subbing is sort of like, unique to anime and manga, right, and not so much anything else, what if, like, we took some DS games that were made in Japan and don't have a US release, right, and we took those and we translated them and then distributed them for free, all pirate-like. Would we get away with it like the fan subbers get away with it?
You see, the thing is, I'm pretty sure it's covered under all the same rules. I think the only difference there is that if the game involved licensed properties, but it's the same thing with anime, I guess. Like, if I have the license to distribute everything, I don't know, involving Ichigo from Bleach, then the U.S. company that has that right could possibly go after the fan subber for distributing. But then again, it gets tricky. I don't know exactly how it works, but I would believe that if this works with fan subs, it'll work with any foreign copyright that does not have a legal distribution in the United States.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, basically, if Crunchyroll doesn't get totally fucked and shut down.
Because they could be a lawsuit just, sort of being prepared by lawyers. It takes time. It's not like you can just be like, lawsuit right now, like Phoenix. All right, you got to have lawyers work on it and they create a case. And then they finally go to court and say, all right.
But if they don't get shut down and they don't take away all their fan sub stuff, and I find it interesting that a lot of fan subbers seem to not like them, but at the same time, what the hell can a fan subber do? I guess technically they have the right to their fan sub, but I don't think any fan subber.
No, I don't think you're gonna be able to claim that.
You would have the right, the copyright
to your subtitle track.
Yes.
I guess maybe that'd be a really tough case.
But
at
the same time,
fight.
even if you did, the problem there is that no fan subber has the money to sue these people, even if they are right. And also,
if a fan subber had the money to sue them, if a fan subber had the money to sue someone with venture capital, they would have the money to license the show and release it.
You know what? When it comes to online distribution, I'll say this real quick. I think the best way to deal with all this crap right now is to hire the fan subbers who don't suck and license for distribution digitally in the US via iTunes all the anime as it comes out in Japan, like 2 days after it comes out.
You should just I think the only way to do it is to team up with Japan and create animated TV shows that have appeal in both countries.
I'm just talking about distribution. What are you always bringing up the moe crap? I'm talking purely about distribution.
Yeah, moe crap.
One of the biggest complaints that people who watch fan subs, and I agree a little bit, is that the shows we want to watch are the new shows because we've seen all the old shows. And the new shows are coming out in Japan right now. By the time they get licensed, there's already newer shows coming out, and a lot of people just want to watch the shows right now. So they watch Spice and Wolf fan subs, and then they're not going to buy the DVD when Spice and Wolf comes out on DVD. I don't know, whenever. I don't know when.
Yeah, but even if it was on iTunes, you wouldn't buy it.
I might.
Then why don't you go buy the stuff that's on iTunes now?
Plus, remember, then they could shut down all the fan subbers because they'd have legal distribution rights.
Yeah, but they can't get the rights because the Japanese companies charge too much.
It all comes down to the Japanese companies not understanding that they're basically destroying their market in the U.S. by being so afraid of reimportation because their prices are way too high in Japan to begin with.
And we're having the same discussion over and over again.
Yeah, but this whole Crunchyroll thing is going to be interesting. But once again, they totally haven't been sued, and they're totally getting away with it.
Yeah.
And the best anyone has done is written a strongly worded letter that came to nothing.
Yeah, basically what this comes down to is the story hasn't changed, but Crunchyroll has sort of thrown this interesting wrench in the works. I think that's going to basically, pull the sheet away and reveal the man behind the curtain.
This is going to be really awesome, one way or the other.
I think so.
Things of the day. This is a little old. It's from Katsukan, but at Katsukan, we brought, among a lot of other people, some of our own personal staff, and one of our staffers is actually named Katsu. And Katsu has done kendo panels. I believe his most epic one was the one he ran at Otakon last year, which was, if you've ever seen, you know most anime con panels, it's people like yelling and screaming. Like if you search YouTube for like anime match game, you'll see a lot of videos of us running the anime match game at various cons, and it's pretty much mumble, 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 Pokemon, and then the crowd just loses their goddamn shit.
It's really kind of scary.
But Katsu, right? He does this panel, and he didn't even use a microphone, so he was talking kind of quietly for a very large room. The room was so silent, you could cut the tension with a knife, and everyone was on the edge of their seats, just like wrapped with attention. It was kind of
Oh, they were all straining to hear.
No, they were wrapped with attention, because even when he was loud, everyone was just like, ah. Of course, it also helped that I filtered the questions, so all the dumb crap people were asking didn't get up there, and only the good questions, like, how is kendo different from real sword fighting? But, yeah, Katsu does these awesome things, and while he was staffing the video game room, one of the other Game Katsu staffers was like, yeah, blah, 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 swords. And there's some talking, and there happened to be some objects made of foam, stiff foam, that resembled swords. So, like people are wont to do, this person challenged Katsu to a sword fight.
Well, that's real smart. That's like if I went up to Mike Tyson and said, hey, want a box?
Everybody has a plan.
Hey, Kasparov, want to play chess?
But, hey, Raymond Scott, you want a podcast?
Yeah.
Oh. But, Katsu was never one to back down from a challenge, and I think we've told the story of when he completely owned those punk kids at Otakon a couple of years ago. We have some pictures of that somewhere. But, this video was taken, and if you ever want to see the difference between someone who knows how to use a sword and someone who thinks they know how to use a sword, this is the video.
He thinks he knows how to use a sword.
But he did. You can always tell the people that don't know how to use swords are swinging them around, and they always have some cool looking stance. And meanwhile, Katsu's just standing there. And as Katsu explained to me, whenever he fights against someone who doesn't know what they're doing, it's like you're standing there and another person is dancing around in slow motion, and you just have to pick where you want to poke them and when you want to poke them, and it happens. This is mostly epic for the last little duel, because it looks, whoa, the guy finally blocked something. But then you realize, no, Katsu's sword is on the inside there.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to tell, like, exactly. It's not like the most obvious demonstration of his incredible abilities, and that's the thing about kendo. It's like, unless you know what you're looking for, it's not like, holy crap, he got bashed over the head and he's on the ground, or holy crap, there's a sword right through his guts. You know, it's sort of like the sword pokes him somewhere. But it's like, you look at the speed and the reach, and, you know, the fact that the other guy was like, oh shit, and he couldn't do anything about it.
It's like, guy standing there, suddenly Katsu was hit him with the sword, and the guy's like, what?
Yep.
What the fuck? But speaking of cons, this is kind of a lame segue, but I want to talk about this a little bit. I mentioned before that, you know, the summer con season's coming up. And let me tell you, this year has been a bigger season of us doing crap at cons than we've had previously. And the content we're probably going to be running at the cons this summer, there's going to be a lot of it, suffice to say. So, Suffice. So, Kineticon, I'm working on that right now.
Make a t-shirt that just says suffice to say.
It looks like at Kineticon, we're going to be running panels pretty much all day Saturday. And we're working on getting Uncle Yo to do something awesome, because we like Uncle Yo. And Katsu might be running not only a kendo panel, but some kendo workshops. We're still working out the details of this, but Katsu might be running kendo workshops much of the time.
Oh, man.
And what we're working on, this is by no means set in stone, but Kineticon has a better gaming room than most gaming cons have a gaming con.
That is for sure. Tabletop gaming room. We're not talking about the video game room. The video game room, in all honesty, at least last year, was kind of eh.
Most cons gaming rooms are kind of eh.
Except for Katsucon.
Especially compared to Katsucon.
Right. But no, the tabletop gaming room at Kineticon, top tier. Top tier.
This is not like, oh, he's coming. Don't even think this, but I've mentioned to Luke Crane that Kineticon is a place he should run Burning Wheel stuff. And all he said back was duly noted.
Uh-huh.
But you never know. You never know. But even if he is not at a Kineticon someday in the future, we are going to try to run some Burning Wheel demos at Kineticon. And we got this cool idea with some board gaming stuff, but it's anime night, so I'm not going to talk about that. But our panel lineup is getting kind of long. That anime you should see did crazy well at Katsucon, so we're going to try
Even
to
though
run
it's the
that.
most generic panel, it's like, this is what anime you should watch.
Yeah.
It doesn't get more generic than that, people. Yet somehow that's a crazy popular panel.
But yet, when a full third of the people in the room had never seen Cowboy Bebop, and when we get a standing ovation at the end for our history lesson, I think it went well.
Our
Plus,
completely non sequitur, misplaced history lesson.
well, but it worked well. Like, it actually kind of, like, doing it in that panel instead of at the late show almost worked better.
Nah. Yeah, I think that it just really had nothing to do with the panel, but it works anyway, which proves people go to a panel, they're not looking for anything specific. They just want you to say anime, anime, anime.
See, I don't think it was a non sequitur at all, because one of the ideas of that panel was that there's a lot of anime you'll never hear of, and you've got to find this stuff and watch it.
Yeah, I guess.
Plus, actually,
You can shoehorn it in.
the results of this are not public yet, but I can say one thing. Based on the surveys from Katsucon, it seems like the biggest kind of panel people want at anime cons is anime panels. And that might sound crazy, but if you look at the schedule for any major con, very few of the panels and workshops at anime conventions are actually straight up about anime.
Yeah, I mean, I think back, and it's like you see panels like Mega Man something, cosplay something, DDR something, this video game series
How
something.
to make an anime music video, how to do a cosplay.
Ball jointed doll something. And those are all well and good, but people apparently want, at least people who fill out surveys want anime panels, I guess.
Well, not only that, but this was a generic panel, and you might balk, a generic panel, but think about this.
I balk a generic panel.
Not anymore. I don't at all, because a lot of people talked to us afterward and said, wow, I never would have known about those shows. And remember, a lot of great shows are not talked about a lot because all the hardcore anime fans, everyone's seen Escaflowne, everyone's seen Cowboy Bebop. I won't even deign to discuss it. Why would I do a panel about that? I have to do a panel about the new stuff or the obscure stuff that no one likes.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you're a noob. All right, I like Bleach. I'm watching my Bleach. Oh, man, check out One Piece. It's the same kind of show. Oh, man, I really like that. How the hell are they going to find out about Cowboy Bebop unless someone says, all right, kid, you want to see the good stuff? Cowboy Bebop, Eska Ava. You never heard of these shows. Check them out.
Mm-hmm.
So panels like this are important. And we're going to try to run this at pretty much every con we go to this year and then phase it out because you got to move on. But I think this panel is going to do a lot.
All right.
How to run an anime club, we do forever. We're gonna
Are
do
you
that
going to go
again.
through every single panel we run?
I want to talk. We're going to do a new kind of panel. Know your creators. We're going to try to talk about the directors and the character designers and the composers and the people that a lot of anime fans don't pay attention to that they probably should, because then it's real easy to find shows you like.
That's a panel that I think definitely has to be run.
I think that panel is going to go over really well.
Yeah.
All our anime match game crap, Katsu's Kendo stuff. We got to suffice to say.
You got to think of something better to say than suffice to say.
Watch out for us at Kineticon, Otakon, Anime Next.
Are we doing anime next?
I'm working on it.
You're making all like these tentative announcements here. I'm not too comfortable with that.
But they're tentative announcements. These are the
All
cons
right.
we're working on doing stuff.
As long
at.
as you make it clear that, this is all maybes.
Yeah, well, we have the official announcement once we have the official announcement, but I'm definitely trying to do stuff at Kineticon Saturday and Sunday. Anime Next, I really only want to do Saturday, unless they make me a guest or something. I'm not going to stay all weekend.
Yeah.
And Otakon, we have done stuff at Otakon every year, every single Otakon since 2002. I doubt we are not going to be doing stuff at Otakon this year.
That it is highly doubtful.
And
yes.
actually, I can say this. We're already planning next Katsucon. Game Katsu is already working on how to arrange the room for the next Katsucon.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, Katsucon, my favorite con to be staff at least.
All right. So, Tezuka, God, synonymous. Yes? Yes.
I think so.
If you need further proof, more obvious evidence, even to the complete layperson, on the godlike, omnipotent, omniscient qualities of the man that was Osamu Tezuka, but perhaps he, lives on in some supernatural form. Here is an animation you should watch. This animation is actually taken off of YouTube and then put right back on YouTube. So if the link doesn't work, search YouTube for it, and you might find it. It's called Jumping. And by Osamu Tezuka. It's a 1984 animation short film that won some awards, I think, at some, film festivals or whatever. And all it is basically it's a bouncing ball of some sort. But you don't see the ball. The camera is sort of from the view of the ball. So it's as if you were a ball bouncing, and you're bouncing around this world looking at stuff. And it's the way this is made in 1984. And look at the kind of animation he was able to produce. Even in the shitty, low-resolution YouTube, it comes across so obviously. And it's so great because every time the ball comes down to the ground, there's like another surprise there waiting for you. And it's so beautiful. Oh, my God. You got to watch this.
Yeah, pretty much you should watch everything Osamu Tezuka's ever animated.
If anything has the name Osamu Tezuka on it, and you haven't watched it or read it, you should probably do that.
Some of it's not exactly amazing.
I mean, you don't really need to read, like, Ambassador Magma.
But at the same time, it's kind of important. I mean, it's like when you read, like, there's a great author and you read their great works. You also read their not-so-great works to get a lot of perspective on them as artists.
It's like watching really old, bad, like, Mickey Mouse cartoons. They were not all great, even though many of them were.
Yeah, but I'll admit I'm not terribly entertained by Steamboat Willie.
Oh, I love Steamboat Willie.
Oh, my.
Of course, I love the one with the musical skeletons even better.
The musicals. We watched that recently, didn't we?
I don't know. We can watch it again.
Yeah, but anyway, before we get into the main bit here, there's a little bit of housekeeping. Scott, after our wonderful relationship with our friends at Vertical Incorporated, Vertical Inc., we got some stuff to give away, and we're having a contest here.
Yeah, we're actually going to do a real contest. We have a real prize. We're actually going to deliver the real prize. There's no deadline for the contest yet, but basically here's what's going on. We have the 3 volumes of the Guen Saga manga. It is a side story to the Guen Saga series of novels. I'm not going to get into it, that much because I talked about it last week. You can go find out. But basically how the contest works. The prize, all 3 volumes of the manga. That's the entire manga from beginning to end. In order to get them, you must email us an essay at least 5 paragraphs in length with 0 errors as far as punctuation, grammar, and spelling. The end, you have to do it properly. Do you have any other rules besides that? All right. The subject of the essay must be something along the lines of why you deserve the manga, or why we should give the manga to you, or why you should be the one to win the contest and not anyone else.
And, you might say, well, what's the deadline of your contest? And pretty much, we're going to end it as soon as or near about when we either get enough entries or an entry is so good. We've already got an entry that's pretty good, so you better get on this.
Yeah. Pretty much the idea is that all the contests we've run in the past, people don't follow the rules so much. And pretty much we end up with no valid entries and it just pisses us off. So odds are that anyone who submits to this contest, we've already gotten some invalid entries. Come on, even though we talked about how you shouldn't send in an invalid entry, we got some.
However, I'll say this. The one valid entry that we have,
I still have to check to see if that one's valid.
It looks valid
It looks valid at a cursory glance.
It also includes some very important things. I see the phrase non-masturbatory activity.
Uh-oh.
Which definitely is always a plus whenever... Oh, I see bondage fairies. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so the other thing is that I learned a lesson from one of these submissions so far to the contest is that someone sent us their submission as an attachment to their email in the form of a docx file, which is, I guess, in Microsoft Word 2007 file.
I couldn't open that on any computer that I own, including my work computer or my Windows Vista computer.
Yeah, we're Linux people here. We can't open that shit. You need to send us either just put your essay in your email directly or send us a file format that we can read, like, I don't know, a text file.
An open format.
An RTF file, an open document format file, an HTML file, something like that. Something that anyone can open. If it can be opened with OpenOffice, then you can send it to us. That's pretty much how it works. All right, are there any other rules to the contest?
Actually, you know what?
I
got nothing.
Okay. So yeah, try to enter the contest. Maybe you'll win. If your entry is valid, your odds of winning are crazily high. They're like 1,000,000 times better than your odds of winning the lottery.
Well, so far your odds are pretty much 50% as long as you meet the rules and don't suck, because we only have one valid entry.
Yeah, come on, free manga, people. Free manga.
Free pretty good manga from people who have never failed to bring us amazing manga.
Yeah, can't go wrong.
Anyway, luckily you might have noticed we kind of tarried a bit in getting to the main bit. That's because there's not a lot to say about this, but
Mostly
at the same
because
time,
there's not so much of it yet.
something must be said. Scott, what is the title of the comic we're reviewing tonight?
Well, Rim, he's not a fan of the underwear perverts.
I'll say this. There are 2 depictions of underwear perverts, not counting anything by Alan Moore, that I've actually enjoyed. Also not counting when I was a kid watching the X-Men cartoon.
X-Men cartoon.
Because that's special, and I really like that.
Didn't you like those X-Men movies that I don't like?
Not really, no. That's all everyone else.
Okay.
I'm indifferent to them. I
Okay.
saw the one with the Juggernaut in the theater, and you know what? That movie was an abortion.
Well, people seem to mostly laud the first one and second one. That's
I've never
the third,
seen the
That's
first
the third one,
one.
right?
I think
I
so.
saw the first one and didn't like it, and I don't think I saw the second one, which people say is better. Whatever.
But anyway, and I kind of like the Spider-Man live-action movie, but
The first one was good.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was. But in comic book form,
I didn't see the others.
pretty much, I've liked Superman as depicted in Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, and I have liked Batman in The Dark Knight Returns.
And the Watchmen.
I excluded Alan Moore.
Oh, okay.
Because
But anyway,
that's not really underwear perverts. They don't wear underwear so much.
yeah, they do. Anyway,
Not so much.
it's a superhero book, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, but they're not underwear perverts.
Doesn't matter.
You said underwear pervert.
It's underwear pervert is superhero. There's the same word.
But the thing is, if someone's not in spandex, I'm so much more likely to read it.
All right, anyway. So here we have a comic. And it says on the front of this comic, the greatest superhero book of all time is finally here. This is like the recipe for a comic Rim will not like. Also on the cover, a spandex or at least very tight glove with some sort of spandex sleeve punching a guy in the face through a door.
See, I only like punching in the face if it's robots or Hokuto no Ken.
Yeah, so this kind of comic, judging by the cover, something Rim probably wouldn't give a second eyeball to. And something I wouldn't give a second eyeball to either. The reason I bought this comic is because it was incredibly cheap through my discount comic book service.
Yeah, we've learned something bad. No matter how awful a comic sounds, if it's a nickel or a dime or a quarter,
Hell, if it's 50 cents, it's hard not to buy it, right? Anyway, the title of the comic is Kick-Ass. That's kind of hard to pass up. Something called Kick-Ass.
Now, Scott, is this a comic about someone kicking ass?
That is what I was trying to find out when I read it. Now I ordered the first issue of this comic, and because that's what I usually do when there's a one, they regularly discount the first issues of comics. That way you'll get the first issue, you'll get hooked, and you'll buy the rest of the issues at normal discount instead of excessive discount. Of course, what I do is I buy the first issue. If it sucks, I just stop, and if it's good, I'll buy the trade paperback of the first volume, and then maybe the second and third volumes if it goes on. So I got this first issue and didn't get any of the further issues, but, and if it's good, I would get the trade. And let me tell you, I think I'll be getting the first trade. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this book first. The book is called Kick-Ass. It's written by Mark Miller, or Millar, I'm not sure. He's from Scotland.
Scotland!
Yep. It's drawn. The art is by John Romita Jr., who is a famous Marvel comic book artist, the son of John Romita Sr., who is also a comic book artist. And it's published by Icon. Now, when it says Icon on the book, but if you know comics, you'll look inside and it says Kick-Ass #1, copyright 2008, all rights reserved, published monthly by Marvel Publishing Incorporated. But wait, it doesn't say Marvel on the outside. It only says Icon on the outside. That's basically, it's called an imprint. Like Vertigo comics are actually DC comics. Wildstorm comics are actually DC comics. This is a regular thing in the publishing industry where you will put a different logo, a different trademark as the publisher, even when it's the same company that is doing the publishing. For example, when Tokyo Pop publishes a hentai or a yaoi, they put some sort of different logo on it. They don't say this is Tokyo Pop.
Now,
right?
see, there's 2 reasons for that. In the case Scott
There are
just brought up,
there are
it's
many
to
reasons
distance
for that.
yourself from something you're releasing that will be popular and you will make money off of, but you don't want to scare away other people by associating your brand with it.
Yep. The other reason you do it is because if someone reads something, you want people to sort of have some sort of publisher loyalty. And there's a lot more publisher loyalty with comic books than there is with other things. So if someone likes, a comic book by Marvel, they like other comics by Marvel. They sort of do that. Like a lot of comic book stores organize the stores by publisher. So if you group together like all the Vertigo books together, there's a lot of people who are Vertigo readers. They read Vertigo books. They don't care, who the actual publisher is, doesn't matter so much, but the publishing label on there does matter, and it sort of means something, because they're basically consciously saying, this is a book that those kinds of people enjoy, so we'll put the same label on it as those other books that people enjoy.
It's not quite to the level of what goes on in Japan. I kind of wish it would get there, but that's neither here nor there.
No.
Now,
but anyway,
get into the story of this. You have more to say?
I'm gonna get into the book
because I can synopsisize the story as in what it is about.
We've only got one issue of a comic book here. This is like less than how many pages is this thing? Let's see. How many pages of content do we have here? There are no page numbers. That's fantastic.
But like Batman The Dark Knight Returns is about Batman returning, if I was going to, put it together. Watchmen is about realistic superheroes in a realistic setting. Or it's about, I'm not going to get into what it's really about. X-Men is about spandex wearing people hitting other people.
This is like 23, 22, it's between 22 and 24 pages of content in this one issue.
Kick-Ass is about what if someone in the real physical modern world
where there's so far nothing supernatural has occurred. Nothing supernatural whatsoever. No powers, no magic, no nothing. It's a world in which everything is normal, just like the real world.
I mean, Watchmen could have been that way, except that people were a little larger than life, and then
Dr. Manhattan,
20 feet tall, made of radiation.
Dr. Manhattan versus Dr. McNinja, who wins?
Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, probably.
In the nerd fight, Dr. Manhattan really can't lose.
Oh, he can lose.
I don't think so. Well, maybe.
Unicron. Let's not do this.
I think Dr. Manhattan could kick Unicron's ass, but I digress.
It'd be close.
Galactus. That'd be interesting.
Go Galactus versus Dr. Manhattan.
Anyway, we might have to do another Thursday like that.
We did one a long time ago. It could be so long ago that we can do it again.
But it'd be interesting to do it again and see if we are consistent.
That's true.
I don't remember the old one at all.
You couldn't. Listening to the old one would be considered cheating.
Yes, at least for us.
All right.
But anyway, all right. So this comic is about what if in the normal real world, some high school kid was inspired and actually decided to get a spandex whatever costume and be a superhero and basically be a vigilante, go around and do the things that superheroes would do.
Yeah, it's it's sort of a normal kid. He's a little bit nerdy. He has some family problems, as is common in comic books, right? He has some school issues, right?
He's a stalker.
Yeah, it's basically one of those, hey, if you're some high school kid, here's a main character to identify with. Here you go. You'll find they give a kid so many, small and sometimes large, everyday-ish sort of real world problems that no matter who's reading it will be able to identify with at least one of the problems. It's a typical underwear pervert comic kind of thing.
I don't know.
Spider-Man does the same kind of thing.
I didn't terribly identify with.
You're not a high school kid.
Even in high school, I wouldn't have identified with a lonely, nerdish stalker kid who wants to be a superhero.
No, but that's what the comic tries to do.
Yeah, I know.
It's going for the target audience here.
So we're pretty much gonna have to spoil this because spoiling what this comic is about is like saying, I'm trying to think of it, Terminator 2, Arnold's the good guy.
This is a single issue of a comic book. If we don't spoil it, there's nothing to say about it.
So,
other
say
than,
this.
Hey, read it.
What this is about is foreshadowed because it begins with someone who looks like a superhero jumping off of a building and then activating his wings. And the wings fail to activate and he dies.
Yeah, he falls onto a car and dies. And then they introduce the kid, and they show you all his problems that he has in everyday life, and they show him fantasizing about being a superhero. And then the second half of the comic book is he actually goes out and tries to do some superheroing. He gets himself like a little cudgel, and he puts on some spandex costume.
He practices for a couple of days, walking around on rooftops, stalking around in the dark.
Yep, he does a little practice action, a little training, right? And then he sees some guys, making mischief in an alley, some graffiti. And he's like, all right, here's my chance.
I'm going to say this. This plays out pretty much aside from the cherry on top of the delicious sundae that is the ass kicking, this plays out exactly how that would play out in the real world. Fucker gets stabbed.
He goes over and he starts talking trash. And you know what? He actually talks a good trash. Like, you don't, from knowing the kid before, it doesn't seem like he's the kind, that would be good at the comebacks. But it's like, they're like, what the fuck? He says, here, let me read it.
I'll point out there's a lot of, for some reason, all the slurs tend to lean toward homosexual jokes.
Yeah, okay, so here you go. The vandal, the person spray painting, sees him and says, hey, what the fuck you looking at? So the kid's like, oh shit. He says, I said, what the fuck you looking at, asshole? I don't know if it was the mask, they gave blah, blah, blah. He says, 3 homos making a mess.
Now, the best part about
this... So the vandal is like, what the fuck did you say?
But the thing is, then he steps out and they see he's wearing like this wetsuit, and their reaction is, all right, screw this. This guy's just high.
Yeah, he's like, screw this. The guy's just high.
And then he attacks him.
I'm not high, just pissed off with guys like you making this place even more of a shithole.
And that's a good line. That's the kind of line a Batman-esque character would use before he kicks someone's ass.
So he did some good training with the coming up with lines, apparently. Or it's just, good writing, which I think is in abundance in this comic.
Yeah, but then he attacks the kids, and they stab him.
That's interesting how, these vandals are basically sort of, ignoring him. Like, let this crazy guy go, whatever. He's insulting us, and we're sort of getting angry, but this guy's crazy. What the fuck, dude? And then he actually attacks them. It's like you don't see even real superheroes with actual powers. You don't see them doing that.
The fight goes
like
as you'd
Spider-Man
expect.
would, if there were some vandals, he'd just web them up. He wouldn't beat them up.
Batman would make them pee themselves.
Batman, yeah, he'd just make them pee themselves, and then the police would take them away.
Yeah, but after the element of surprise, he pretty much gets beat. But then he fights back with a broken bottle, and it gets serious, so the kids just stab him and run away.
Yep, the vandal stabs him.
Right in the lung.
Right in the freaking lung. It's like, oh, shit. So he's like, oh, crap. So he starts stumbling away.
Now here's the cherry on top of the violent
the cherry on top of this comic. Okay, so... First of all, this seems like such an obvious idea, right? Write a comic about someone trying to be a superhero in the real world.
And just play it straight.
And then obviously, the result, they're going to get stabbed or shot or something. Obviously, right? So that's exactly what happens. And you go, wow, that was such an obvious idea for a story. Why didn't anyone do this before?
I'm sure
and
someone
here it
has.
is. I'm sure maybe, but I've never read it before. And you see it right here on the page, and you go, wow, that's pretty entertaining right there. I can't believe I've never read this before. And then, after he's stabbed and he's stumbling away in a bloody stupor
now remember,
with a punctured lung.
His nose is also broken, and he's bleeding from a lot of places.
And he's wearing spandex all over his body. Then he stumbles into the street and gets
hit.
smashed by a Benz going real fast. And then the Benz does a hit and run, and he's left lying in the street, a bloody, broken, stabbed
What's
mess.
the line? What does he say? My dad's gonna kill me?
Well, he doesn't say it. He thinks it. All he says is "unt."
No, you gotta read that whole line, because that line is beautiful.
What he thinks in his mind while he's lying a bloody mess in the street is 2 broken legs, my spine crushed, and dressed like a fucking pervert. My dad was going to kill me.
So yeah, this might be good. I don't know. We'll get the trade. We'll review it in more fullness, but you can probably get it cheap. And while we've ruined
if you go to the comic book store, it's going to be $3. So,
maybe we should have a contest to give this away.
Nah, I guess if we get the trade, I don't need this issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're the kind of person who reads individual comic books, look for kick-ass. And if your comic book store doesn't have it, tell them to order it, and then they will order it and then get it to you.
All right.
And then they will know that it's good, and then they will order more.
But I got something much more important that we got to deal with right now.
All right.
Brawl. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Audio. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.